Charlie Parsons, the boxing voice in association with Fightstars TV. Delighted to be joined here with a man with a tan, Mr. Eddie Hearn. Eddie, how are you, mate?
It's the Essex tan. No sunbeds. It's genuine. A few days in the sun. I'm good, mate. Feeling good. Very excited for the show this weekend and a massive run coming up. Of course, Benn this weekend. Then 2 weeks' time, Taylor Serrano, Madison Square Garden. Canelo against Bivol, Las Vegas. So, buzzing.
We will go into obviously Benn this weekend, Van Heerden. It's faced a little bit of criticism. I know on different outlets you would have given your response back, but this is the first time I've been able to catch up with you this week. Just your reaction to people's criticism of Van Heerden being the opponent for Benn. I suppose when you've got the profile that Benn has, you know, there's going to be criticism whatever happens.
Yeah, I think it's good that he's getting criticised because it shows you that people are rating him. You know, Van Heerden's last fight, which was a no contest, was against Jaron Ennis, who's probably the best welterweight in the world, who was 26-0 at the time, and it headlined on Showtime. Now, little old Benn, who apparently isn't very good, he's getting criticised for fighting the same opponent as Jaron Ennis. I think it's, like I said, it's a backhanded compliment. Van Heerden, as you saw there, is a big, strong welterweight. He's a southpaw. It's the first of Benn's career so far, and it's a really tough fight. But I think Benn is now maturing into one of the best welterweights in the world, and we'll see if that's the case on Saturday.
Just a little run through the undercard, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, brilliant co-main event. I mean, and fair play to Chris Billum-Smith for taking this rematch with Tommy McCarthy. You know, the first one was one of the fights of the year last year, probably the fight of Fight Camp. It's a really 50-50 fight for the Commonwealth and European. Alicia Baumgardner, who I think is probably one of the next superstars of women boxing, defending her 2 world titles against Soledad Matisse. Campbell Hatton out on the card for the first time in front of fans in Manchester, sold a huge amount of tickets. Jack Cullen in a tough fight against Bajewski. Jordan Thompson, who I think is the next star of the cruiserweight division, back in action against Godino. Luke Evans on the card. Cyrus Patterson stepping up to 8 rounds. Thomas Whittaker Hart against Ben Ryding's really good fight as well for the card. JJ Metcalf, and I think that's everyone.
Let's move on to Fury-Whyte. First things first, the price point, US pay-per-view, about 2 in the afternoon, I believe. Well, depending on what coast you're on, but $69.99 price point. Just your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just think the US price point in general is wrong. You know, actually that's a bit cheaper than some of the pay-per-views over there. Normally $79.99. I don't know, 100,000 buys, something like that. Like, it's not had any build-up in America at all. I don't think they've really even pushed it in America. I think they only announced it on pay-per-view like a few days ago. So not expecting many buys, but that's what the model they have to use to convince the likes of Tyson Fury and those people, to give them some upside, to convince them it might do more. So I think it'll do well in the UK, obviously $24.99, but I don't expect many buys at all in the US.
We saw Dillian Whyte put out a post. Last night he joined on the Zoom virtual press conference. Obviously, this is the first from his sort of media silence, I suppose. Will this be contractual stuff for Dillian?
Yeah, you see that from the post the other day, and I think he even commented that he needed some things for this fight. So the only way he could do it was probably a trade-off to do certain things, like some tickets for his family or whatever it could be, escrow. So, he'll be there next week. He'll be taking care of all his media obligations. I think he's had a great camp. He's been nice and chilled, worked hard, kept himself away, and ready to fight.
Spoke to Frank Smith about it yesterday. He sort of had a little bit of a laugh. Obviously, Frank Warren and the team in the office wished him a happy birthday. He said it was like a scene out of The Office.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's funny.
David Haye has picked Dillian Whyte to win every single fight.
Yeah, John Fury weren't very happy, was he? I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, so just your thoughts, I suppose, fight.
David just likes to go against the grain, I think, Obviously, Tyson Fury's a big favourite in this fight, and Dillian Whyte can win the fight, of course, and a lot of people think, no one thinks he's a favourite, but everybody thinks he can win. And just David likes to sort of... You need someone to pick the other guy. And I think David's working for BT as well. But also, David knows how good Dillian is and how tough Dillian is as well. So, and I don't think he's probably Tyson Fury's biggest fan, but,
Just the last thing on the fight itself. Obviously, we're just over a week away now. I mean, I know you will back Dillian. You've worked with Dillian. You guys are friends with Dillian. But just how do you expect the fight to go? And obviously, as you say, Tyson Fury is the favourite. But if Dillian's to win, how does he win this fight?
I think he wins the fight by knockout. I don't think he wins the fight on points. I think Tyson's very clever, very awkward. You've got to back him up and you've got to hit anything you can, because sometimes it's hard to hit the head. But Dillian's a fantastic body puncher, and he's also a fantastic left hooker. He punches a lot harder than Tyson Fury with one hand or one punch knockout power. And if they trade up and he hits Tyson Fury flush on the chin, the fight will be over. So he has to win this fight by knockout. He's capable of doing it, but it's a very tough fight.
JoshuaUsyk too. I caught up with Adam Smith in Newcastle. They seem very, very adamant that that will be a Sky pay-per-view fight. Just your thoughts on that. I know that you don't have a contractual obligation to provide for Dazn, but getting Joshua on the platform can only do good things.
Yeah, and obviously everyone's being very competitive. Sky are desperate to have AJ on the platform. Dazn are desperate to have AJ on the platform. Other broadcasters have come in with significant interest. We'll make sure the fight's done first in terms of the announcement, because where the fight takes place might depend on what rights are available. So AJ at the moment is considering offers from Sky, from Dazn, from other broadcasters. He have got a great relationship with Sky over the years, great platform for pay-per-view. So yeah, they're definitely in the race for that, and maybe even favourites for that. But obviously there's a lot to discuss, and we'll do that collectively as a team. We've had offers, and we've reviewed offers from Sky, from Dazn, other platforms as well. So we'll see what happens.
July 23, the expected date now. Saudi Arabia, the front runner.
Just one of the dates from one of the potential sites. Could well be that date if we go to that site.
Does that have to be an indoor venue in Saudi? Because obviously,
yeah, it's going to be a warmer. So we'll review all the offers, and we'll make the decision with Alex Krasuk and Team Usyk.
I'll try and rattle through these as quickly as possible because I know there's a queue. But obviously, Usyk's wife said that I think he lost about 22 pounds going into a fight camp. Obviously going into a camp of that magnitude, and I suppose, look, he's got the time, but it's not ideal losing that amount of weight. You would have spoke to the team, Alex Krasuk. Is that a concern at all?
No, not a concern. I mean, I don't know whether that was reported correctly. It's a lot of weight. Yeah. But listen, Usyk's a pro. He looks good to me. Strong, experienced, very clever. So I'm sure he'll be 100%. He's a long way to go till the fight. I don't see that affecting him in any way, and we expect a very good Alexander Usyk in June or July.
Spence Ugas this weekend. How far away is Conor Benn from these guys, and who do you expect to win that fight?
Put him in with Ugas now, honestly. And I rate Ugas. I think he's a tremendous fighter. Errol Spence, I think he's a level above, but he has been through a lot. Errol Spence. I haven't heard a lot about that fight in general, but it's a good fight, unification fight. I think it may be Spence's last at 147, to be honest with you, unless he lands a Crawford fight. But I expect him to win the fight.
Oscar De La Hoya has said that Jake Paul can become a world champion. Just your reaction to that?
I mean, absolutely ridiculous, but, Oscar's... and I like Jake Paul. There's absolutely no way he wins a world title, unless literally there's a vacant one that he fights you in. But listen, Jake Paul, I've said before, Jake Paul can fight. He's better than some pro fighters that I've seen. He's nowhere near world level. He'll never beat a legitimate world champion. But it doesn't matter. There's many fighters, some were up on the stage here today, that will never become a world champion. So I think what he's doing is great for boxing, and obviously causing a lot of headlines.
Tank and his last fight, what looks to be his last fight with Mayweather Promotions. Just your thought on Floyd obviously doing his exhibition press conference on the same day as Tank's announcement one. And if the fight is on the same day, I'm not too sure, but I imagine you will be looking to pursue Tank very heavily if he does become a free agent. Yeah,
been a big fan of Tank for a long time. Met him at the Barclays Centre on one of our early shows with Daniel Jacobs, and watched him beat Pedraza for the world title at the Barclays Centre. He's an extraordinary talent. Yes, we would make it a significant offer to Gervonta Davis if he was contractually free, and we'll see if that's the truth. Obviously, it don't look too good at the moment, but he'll smash Rolly Romero to pieces, and then hopefully we can talk if that's the case.
Just two more from me. Obviously, since yesterday, your interview with Umar, I saw Carl Greaves is speaking even more and more and more about Avanesian. I mean, Ben Avanesian just isn't going to happen. I mean, that's the way it seems.
It might happen, but there's a lot of bigger fights out there for Conor Benn. So at the end of the day, it's my job to make the biggest fights financially to Conor Benn when we're at that risk level, right? And Avanesian is better than Chris Van Heerden.
Your thoughts on them saying that you only pick guys with a couple of losses at the end of their career?
Because, at the end of the day, I don't agree with that, but we're progressing him to the big fights. And Avanesian is in that mix of the next fights we talk about. Mikey Garcia, Danny Garcia, Maurice Hooker, who he was actually going to fight here. Avanesian in the same bracket as those guys. But if Conor Benn can make, I don't know, £1 million to fight Avanesian, or £2 million to fight Mikey Garcia, what are you going to do? If they're both, so all I said yesterday, and I say it again, Avanesian's last two fights, you're comparing opponents, right? Conor Benn's last three opponents: Adrian Granados, Chris Algieri, Chris Van Heerden. Even take the last two opponents: Chris Algieri, Chris Van Heerden. Avanesian's last two opponents: Liam Taylor and Mets, don't even know his name. How can you even comment about Conor Benn's opponents when you're fighting that level of opposition? So the answer is at the moment, Conor Benn is fighting much better, much tougher opposition than David Avanesyan. Now, that is the kind of fight, the level of fight we need next. So if it's him, it could be him. But if there's a fight of the same danger for twice the money, you know, and when I said yesterday about them selling, I think 500 or 600 tickets for Avanesyan's fight, and it averaged 6,000 viewers on BT, which, I mean, that's potentially having your contract cancelled kind of numbers. Like, you can't tell me he's a big star, but he's really good. And I give him the props. You know, people say Eddie disrespects David Avanesyan. Am I disrespecting him when I say he's a really good welterweight? He's a dangerous welterweight. He punches really hard. I like watching him box. But there are a lot bigger fights out there for Conor Benn that carry the same danger. I can't be more honest than that. I'm not saying, no, he's not good enough, he's rubbish. I'm saying he's really good and we might fight him, but if there's a fight that's as tough that pays Conor Benn twice as much money, guess what? We're taking that one. So we'll see who's available.
Just finally from media...
Another thing, don't base your career around Conor Benn. You've got a guy who's ranked, like, I think he's top 3 in the world in the governing bodies. By the way, just so it's known, when we were working with David Avanesyan, we offered David Avanesyan a world title eliminator against Alexis Rocha. He turned it down and he fought Liam Taylor instead. Truth, facts. Answer that one. Why did you do that?
Just finally from me, the American Dream. I'm looking forward to coming over for Taylor Serrano and Canelo Bivol. Obviously,
you're on a trip, yeah? I am. 2 weeks on the spin. You're a boy, you are, Parsons.
Just a word from you. Obviously, everyone's camps, how are they going? Obviously, Canelo gets through, looks to be fighting Golovkin, and I imagine everything going quite smoothly. Looking forward now, really big 2 weeks.
Yeah, Katie Taylor looks fantastic. I've never seen her, with this look in her eye for a long time. Sal spoke to him last night. Actually, genuinely did. I know I say that all the time, but genuinely did. And he said his exact words were, "I'm getting ready." And then he said, "No, actually, I'm ready." So he's ready to go now. So excited about putting on a Canelo Alvarez fight, Cinco de Mayo in Las Vegas. For me, it's a dream. It's bucket list stuff. So can't wait for those huge 2 weeks. Let's get through Saturday night first.
Top man, Eddie, and thank you for the IG comment.